Good evening, it's Dave at All Important Reviews, and I've got with me two very popular and very attractive watches in the AliExpress community for affordable sports Homage watches, which is what these are basically. And I've got with me two watches that, to varying degrees, are homages to the Rolex Yachtmaster. Obviously, these are completely legitimate watches. They're not fake watches or anything like that. They are, they're unique in their own way, but they're homages, so they, in some regards, imitate and have copied some of the design from iconic brands. And the iconic watch that we're talking about is the Yachtmaster, which is a beautiful sports model, which has a bi-directional bezel from Rose. The real one has a platinum bezel, but these are obviously homages. And I'm just going to review what I think are the positives and weaknesses of both models and which one should you get if you have to have that choice. So, when it comes to the size, When it comes to the size, they're both 40 millimeters. Well, as an overview, they're both 40 millimeters roughly. This one has a larger case overall in terms of the width because it has bigger lugs. It has a fatter case. This one is a more slimline case. Both stainless steel bracelets. This is not the actual Parnis bracelet. I have swapped it for another Pagani design bracelet. The only difference on the bracelet is nothing to do with the actual bracelet itself. It's the clasp, and I'll talk about later why I can't stand the Parnis clasp. So I did swap them. So it's not really a fair review, but I will explain why I don't like the Parnis one. Both have sapphire crystals. Both are automatic. One uses a Miyota or a Chinese one, or another cheap Chinese one, which is the Parnis. And this one uses, I believe, the NH35. Both have, this has a stainless steel bezel. This has a ceramic bezel, I do believe. Both have, that has a completely clear back. Sorry, a completely plain stainless steel back. This one has a date window. Has an exhibition window. Both have screw down crowns. The Pagani has 100 meter water resist stated, and the Parnis, depending on which supplier, I've seen 30 and 50 meters stated. So I would believe I'm going to go with a worse figure and say it's 30 meters. So let's talk about the size. So in terms of the way that both watches are very similar to the real, the original in that they're both 40 millimeters. However, the Parnis, you could argue, is tapered slightly more similar to the original. However, as far as watches fit on the wrist, and I should point out that you can actually buy this model in many different colours, and you can get it with a silver bezel. So really that would be a fairer comparison, but for the purposes I've only got this one and the two-tone. So, but anyway, in terms of the size, this one fits better on my wrist because it has a wider case. The fit of the watch on my personal wrist, and the way I like it, is superior on the Pagani. So, but in terms of the looks and being truer to the original, I'm going to have to, I think, give it to the Parnis. Now then, when it comes to the bezel is bi-directional on the Parnis, and it's stainless steel. Now the original has a platinum bezel, I believe, or for the two tones and other models, I'm not sure what material that is. But on this one, obviously, this is just a stainless steel one, but it looks very, very similar to the original watch it's based upon. However, the feel of the bezel is inferior on the Parnis. The Pagani grips a lot better and feels a lot more weighty and a lot more firmer than this one, which feels cheaper. So from a looks perspective, I'm going to give it to the Parnis in terms of the bezel's looks, but the perform, and it's it's bi-directional, which is another plus. But well, it depends on which way you look at it, actually, because obviously we're not going to be doing any yacht races anytime soon. There's no regattas going on in my household, unfortunately. But the Pagani is mono-directional, which is not true to the original, as far as I'm aware. But it feels much better. But it feels a lot better on the Pagani. So I'm going to call it a draw. Although part of me thinks I should really give it to the Parnis on that, because it is more truer to the original in terms of the looks and functionality. Now then, the dial, I'm going to give this a clear winner, in my opinion, to the Parnis. I'm going to give it to the Parnis because the royal blue on this model is absolutely superb. They have done a fantastic job with that dial. The dial is stunning. It's not purple, it is blue. It is a beautiful contrast, and that is one of the nicest dials I've seen from a cheap Chinese manufacturer. The Pagani is more like, it's a mixture, it's half and half. It's blue at the top and black at the bottom. It's subtle and it's okay, but it's not as good. Well, for a start, the original does not have that type of dial, and I'm not saying that Pagani intended it to be a homage to that particular model exactly, but they clearly did use it a bit with the relief bezel and all that. But I'm going to give a clear winner on the dial to Parnis. It looks better, it's less cluttered, and it's a nicer colour. You can get this model in a different colour. You can get it in all black, and you can get it in a coffee, I believe, or like a rosy gold, a rose coloured, that I believe. I'll double check that. But in terms of looks, I'm going to say the Parnis is better. Lume, which I'm not going to show you right now, lume is poor on both models. Lume is only very moderately applied. I'm going to give the lume slightly better on the Pagani. Now, they both have sapphire crystals, and they both have been verified by other YouTubers, so that's a draw, because they both have sapphire, which is excellent. Date windows, the magnification is superior on the Pagani, but the magnification is okay on the Parnis. That looks, you see that? Right. So now the movement, again, as I've said 50,000 times in these recent videos, the movement in these cheap Chinese watches that are automatic analog watches, self-winding, is a pile of crap for accuracy. The accuracy, if you're buying these watches for accuracy, you're doing the wrong thing. You can go and buy a Casio G-Shock or a Casio multiband, and I was wrong the other week when I said you can't buy radio controlled watches for very cheap off Casio. I totally forgot. They do a range that are not G-Shock, that are already synchronized for less than 100 quid. You can pay about, I think, 60, 70 quid and get a wave receptor watch off Casio that has, you know, radio time, and some of them have tough solar. What I'm saying is, you're buying these watches just so that they have that automatic feel to them, not because you actually care that much about the accuracy, because the accuracy is crap on these cheaper watches. I'm sorry. That's the same if you buy the Miyota or a cheap Chinese one off Parnis, or if you buy an NH35. However, the NH35 is not as loud and annoying as this one, so I'm going to give that a winner to the Pagani. but they're both inaccurate. Okay, water resistance. Now, nominally, which means the manufacturer's stated term, is that the Paganis is 100 metre. Now, 100 metre is excellent. In my opinion, you can go snorkeling. You could even, in my opinion, go diving, but I'm not going to take any liability on that if that's at your own risk. You can go swimming, of course. This is only a 30 to 50 metre. I'll have to check with Pagani on which one they're actually claiming, because some people are selling it as a 30, some are selling it as 50. So it's a clear winner as a Pagani, but that is untested. I have taken these into the shower. I have not. I can't remember if I took this swimming this year, but anyway, I've not done a significant amount of swimming with both, so that's unverified. But I'm going to give a clear winner to Pagani because they've at least stated that it is a bit greater water resist. Now, in terms of the fit on the wrist, I'm going to give a clear winner, although it's clear to me, but that's because I'm quite particular. But to be fair, they don't feel that different. I'm going to give the winner to Pagani because the slightly wider case fits better on my wrist. It stays in position better, doesn't wobble about, and feels really good. The Parnis has a very good fit, but the problem is on the Parnis, there's two problems really. I don't know if it's because it's got a very slim design, but the very slim design, which is truer to the original, does not. How can I say this? It just on my wrist does not feel as nice as the Pagani. The Pagani feels as closer to perfection as what I'm probably ever going to get in one of these cheap Chinese watches. Other than say for a Jubilee style bracelet or a 5-link bracelet that can get even more comfort, arguably. It's difficult to think I'm going to get a better fit overall than that. And that is, so I'm going to give the fit personally to the Pagani, but it's close. It is close. But I'm going to give that win to the Pagani. But this is a very honourable second, and it fits very nice. It's not too heavy. It doesn't pull. It doesn't pinch your hairs. It doesn't do anything like that. But this is the other thing. The bracelets, again, this bracelet is the Pagani bracelet, but the bracelet is exactly the same as the Parnis. But the Parnis, has a far worse clasp. The clasp on the Parnis, which you can't see here, I've took it off a few weeks ago. The Parnis bracelet has a clasp that is deployant, so it does have these swing arms and it does come out, but it has push buttons, which nothing wrong with push buttons, but underneath the joint of the swing arms on the Parnis, that was too sharp, that joint, so I had to file it down, which I did do, no problem. But it does not fit on my wrist as nicely as that does. That fits straight up fantastically. The design of this clasp which is the Pagani clasp. That fits absolutely superb. It does. So anyone wondering, you can fit a Pagani bracelet on a Parnis watch. You can't interchange the clasps because they have different screw sizes. But when you put the Pagani bracelet on the Parnis, it is superb. Nothing catches me. It fits absolutely perfectly, or very close to perfectly, but it's still not as good, in my eyes, for the way I like things to fit, as the Pagani. That is excellente. The bracelets are otherwise identical, as far as I'm aware, other than the clasp. The bracelets are, so the fit and feel here is exactly the same. The issue was the clasp, and the clasp on the Parnis, something was catching under my wrist, which I resolved, but the double pushers are not perfect. You can sometimes click in them on the Parnis, and they don't release as they should, so it's not a perfect bracelet. I think the clasp is definitely better on the Pagani by a country mile. So but the fit of the Pagani on the wrist, the way it sits, is better than on the Parnis. So I'm definitely going to give that one to the Pagani. So the fit and feel is definitely, for me, slightly better on the Pagani. The bracelet is definitely better on the Pagani because of the clasp. So finally then, overall, which one do you pick? Which one do you pick? Now, my opinion, and I'm going to want a bit of a cop-out when I want to say buy both, but because they're both absolutely excellent watches, they really are. You're getting such a great bang for buck. Those people who don't like this look in terms of the mix, you can just get the all black version where it's got the black bezel or the very dark grey bezel and the black dial. It is sunburst. I'm going to say, if you're bothered about looking more closer to the original or wanting it to look like that model, the Parnis is the clear winner. I think the Parnis does overall, I think it does look better. But because the fit and feel is better on the Pagani, for me, I'm going to say, for me, the Pagani is a winner, but it's so close, I don't really want to give it. They're both excellent watches. It all depends on why you're buying them and what you personally like better in terms of, I mean, if you're going to swim, obviously, you're going to have to get the Pagani, I think. But in terms of looks, this comes down to looks ultimately and what you want it to look like. And I've got with me here as well a two-tone Pagani, same model two-tone, and that looks absolutely superb. That's next to the Parnis. Now the Parnis two-tone, again, you can get that in a gold one, and I think you can get a rose gold, and that looks also absolutely superb. I've lent it my cousin, but I'll do a full review on it shortly. I'll show you some pics. But they're both absolutely stunning watches. Can you see how amazing that dial looks now? It's got the full black. Instead of it having the black and blue, that's just got, the black is so much better than that. Because it makes it stand out better. But yeah, but it's purely down, I think, in the end to looks and whether you want to swim with it. But because obviously the fit, as I said, is better in my view on this because the Pagani clasp being so crap. But it's still an okay clasp. It's not the end of the world, and so you can easily get a better bracelet, a better clasp on the internet and swap it out, or even put an on the fly adjustment bracelet, and they'd be even better. So it's a tough one, but I'm personally going to give it to the Pagani. But on looks alone, the Parnis wins. But for the other reasons, the Pagani wins overall. Thanks for watching. If you want to pick any of these watches up, there'll be links below. Okay, thanks for watching my reviews. It's been Dave. Please subscribe. There's going to be loads more content coming. Thank you. Bye-bye.